And thanks for being back with us on What Matters This Week. I'm Lauren Maloney. Amy Laura Cahn is joining us this Sunday. She is the new acting director of the Environmental Justice Clinic at Vermont Law School. Amy Laura, appreciate you joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
So you are fairly new to this role as of this week. Explain how you got here.
I got here because President Joe Biden had the good sense to appoint my predecessor, Marian Engelman-Lotto, to be Deputy General Counsel at EPA, bringing a host of environmental justice and civil rights experience to EPA, which we are very excited about. And I am now stepping from a role with the Conservation Law Foundation, where I was leading up the environmental justice work there for the past 2.5 years, and now stepping in as acting director of the clinic.
So how much of a change then will it mean for you, this new job title?
It's different in that, you know, this is so much about the students and the role of the students. And one of the things I'm very excited about is Vermont Law School it's such a hub for environmental law. And there's also such a commitment to environmental justice specifically. And this clinic is so special because it's really at the intersection of environmental justice and civil rights, which makes it unusual throughout the nation to really take that very focused approach to this work. But the work it's very consistent with what I've been doing over the past decade, which is community lawyering. So we work with communities on priorities that they are setting. The community is really in the lead. We're bringing legal expertise to a larger community organizing strategy. And that in itself is very consistent and very familiar to me.
Let's stay on that a little bit, because a lot of people may not see the automatic connection between racial and economic issues and those that affect the environment. So how do they merge?
Environmental justice and climate justice are issues of racial justice. The people who are most affected by environmental and climate burdens throughout the nation, but also globally, are Black, Indigenous, and people of color communities, as well as low-income communities. And this is something that goes back generations in this country, where, you know, when we cite facilities that degrade our air quality, that emit pollutants, we have done so in a way that put those communities in communities of color, in low-income communities, or we have segregated our community, our cities, our towns, in such a way that people are marginalized and are subject to burden upon burden upon burden. So it's never in environmental justice communities, it's never just one thing. It's never just one toxin or one pollutant emitting out of a facility. It is often that, you know, you have industry, but you also have transportation emissions. You have less access to things like, open green space and food access. And so you're dealing with kind of cumulative burdens that we've seen kind of across all sorts of sets of data play out in ways that are racially unjust.
Is there a particular topic or particular issue that your students, and I know the semester is just getting going, that your students will really dive into when it comes to this?
So we're working on multiple fronts, but one of the things that the clinic has been very focused on is the enforcement of civil rights strategies. So one of the things that we've seen as a sort of a pattern across many years, not just one past administration, but over many administrations, is a failure on the part of the Environmental Protection Agency at the federal level to enforce civil rights. So there's an obligation that state and local agencies, any entity that's getting federal funds, has to comply with federal civil rights law. But we rely on our federal agencies to enforce that, and that enforcement hasn't happened. And so one of the core foci for this clinic is to ensure that that enforcement happens. And I think so on the one hand, it's kind of working with and advocating with EPA to make sure that there are structural changes, and we have real opportunities there now. But it's also filing those complaints and making sure that communities have access to the process so that they can get redress for those real civil rights violations.
I know you're just stepping in, but how did the Biden administration kind of zone in on this environmental justice clinic and the work that you guys are doing? Or I should say the Biden transition.
So we're seeing things happen on a daily basis. So it is a very exciting time. So we've already seen executive orders from President Biden on both climate and environmental justice. So the climate executive order establishes a national climate task force, but it also demands a kind of whole of government approach to attacking the climate crisis. And we know that the climate crisis, like other environmental burdens, disproportionately impacts communities of color and low-income communities. So this has an environmental justice impact. There's also an environmental justice executive order that really doubles down on and kind of takes that same whole of government approach, so that we have to look at EJ across, all agencies, but also commits to directing resources specifically to communities that have been historically disinvested and marginalized. But we're also seeing other things kind of happen on a daily basis. Like today, the chairman of the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, Rich Glick, announced plans to create a kind of senior advisor on environmental justice for FERC, which makes decisions at the federal level on energy facilities siting. So, and he said, I believe the commission should more aggressively fulfill its responsibilities to ensure our decisions don't unfairly impact historically marginalized communities. That's a really new thing to be hearing from FERC. And then you look to the Department of Energy, where they actually now have a Department of Energy Justice that's headed up by a former Northeastern professor, Shalonda Baker. So there are all sorts of things happening kind of in a proactive way. And then, it seems to be also that there's, that EPA is taking a look at kind of where things, all of the rollbacks that were happening in the prior administration, and kind of making sure that we get back up to speed. We're doing, that they're doing the kind of enforcement that that had really kind of not just fallen behind, but been abandoned in the last administration.
You mentioned the Trump administration then. In talking with your students, how do you think their work and maybe the mindset of attempting the work or going about the work will change from now to what it was a year or 2 years ago?
That's an interesting question, I think, and we haven't had that conversation yet. But I think that things that come to mind. One of the things that we do is that we file Freedom of Information Act requests to get information from agencies about, internally what their operations are, and also just to, to understand sort of this, for example, the civil rights enforcement issue. So, I think the hope would be that there is an increasingly collaborative, there are increasingly collaborative roles there. There was a transition memo that came out of a set of environmental justice advocates and attorneys that went to the transition team. And I think that there will be a kind of updated version of that I think will be the subject of, we're hoping, the subject of discussion over time. That was drafted in great part by students. So they're helping shape the recommendations that we as attorneys and advocates are bringing to the administration, which is a really wonderful opportunity, and we really benefit from their work.
And Amy, Laura, I know educators gain so much from their students, and you're still in the process of meeting a lot of them and getting to know what they're like and their likes and their dislikes, but what do you hope to learn from them?
Oh, I learned so much. I mean, I also teach at Tufts University. I teach climate policy. And we had a whole set of conversations this morning about, what is the role of policy, and, how, and it was just eye-opening to kind of hear all of their observations. We were looking specifically at the events of Hurricane Katrina and Rita, But one of them said, well, I think the question was, what is good policy? And I said, well, we can spend the entire semester trying to figure that out. Like, what is it? And that I think the hope is with the Biden administration that that's what they're asking too.
Amy Laura Cahn, appreciate you joining us so much.
I'm happy to be here. Thank you so much for the invitation.